Standing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
It's a good point.
He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we're in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Hello, thanks for joining us. Welcome to Headliners. We're going to do all of tomorrow's newspapers tonight. Join us over the next hour to find out Labour's shameful betrayal of Israel. Lucy Connolly is set to stay in jail. And will Jill Biden be charged for concealing the ex-president's physical decline? I'm Josh Howie. Tonight, I am joined by the beautiful Paul Cox and the beautiful Kerry Marks to take you through Wednesday's top stories. This is Headliners. But before tomorrow's news, let's go to tonight's headlines with Katie Bowen.
Josh, thank you and good evening. Your latest headlines from the GB newsroom. A developing story tonight. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner suggested tax rises to Chancellor Rachel Reeves in a secret memo unearthed by the Telegraph newspaper. The Deputy Prime Minister urged the Chancellor to consider an array of new tax rises on savers and investors to raise revenues before the spring statement in March. In the document, Ms Rayner proposed 8 tax increases, including reinstating the pension's lifetime allowance and changing dividend taxes. She also suggested fresh raids on those who pay the additional rate of income tax and a higher corporation tax level for banks. Speaking this evening, US President Donald Trump has unveiled new plans for a golden dome of defence. The president said that he has selected architecture for the defence shield, which will include space-based interceptors. He also pledged that it will be fully operational before the end of his term. Alaska, Georgia and Canada will all be involved in the project. President Trump anticipated that the dome would cost $175 billion in total.
In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors.
Elsewhere, the wife of a Conservative councillor has lost her bid to cut her jail sentence for an online post about migrants posted on the day of the Southport attacks. Lucy Connolly was jailed for 31 months after calling for asylum hotels to be set on fire in a post viewed more than 300,000 times before being deleted. She claimed in court she was grieving and never meant to incite violence, but judges rejected her appeal. They said her version of events didn't justify reducing the sentence. Connolly had pleaded guilty to inciting racial hatred after more racist messages were found on her phone. Israeli ambassador to the UK, Zippy Hotveli, has been summoned to the Foreign Office when Middle East Minister Hamish Faulkner said he would tell her that, quote, the 11-week block on aid to Gaza has been cruel and indefensible. Foreign Secretary David Lammy has also announced that the UK will suspend free trade agreement negotiations with Israel. The UK, France and Canada have urged Israel to halt its renewed offensive and get more aid in. The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs said today that external pressure will not divert Israel from its path in defending its existence and security against enemies who seek its destruction. Star of Cheers, George Wendt, has died at the age of 76. Wendt was a key figure in the show from 1982 to 1993 and played Norm Peterson for all 11 seasons of the NBC sitcom. He passed away at his home this morning. And some more sad news tonight. Former MEP and journalist and familiar face here on GB News, Patrick O'Flynn, has died at the age of 59. Previously a political editor of the Daily Express, Mr O'Flynn was elected as UKIP MEP for the East of England in 2014. Tonight, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage paid tribute to Patrick as a great journalist, a great thinker, a great patriot and a titan of our joint cause. Thank you, Paddy. And former Prime Minister Boris Johnson said Patrick was a truly original Conservative journalist who grasped the causes of much of the current discontent. He will be missed. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's time for Headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello, welcome to Headliners. Headliners. Sorry, I got.
Did you say Headliners?
That was a Freudian slip. You know what I wanted to say? I know. I feel terrible. I was going to say sorry to Kate because I didn't say Kate was beautiful as well. I called you two beautiful, and then I was about to call her beautiful. I went, wait a minute, HR could get in touch.
Done the training.
I'm not allowed to say that. I can focus on your beauty.
Is that why you now call us Headliners?
That's why it is.
Just for that.
It was just the self-hate coming through there. Anyway, welcome.
You're hard on yourself, mate.
How are you guys doing? All right?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
I've had a
good.
look at the news.
Are you ready to do all of tomorrow's newspapers tonight?
Some of it's hilarious, Josh.
There is some hilarious stuff. There will be some shouting.
There will be some shouting, yes.
As well. Very good. Well, look, first things first, let's go and have a look at what the front pages have in store for us. The Mail, Boris Starmer's Britain is turning into police state. The Telegraph, Rayner's secret plan to tax savers. The Sun, barking mad. The Independent, utterly intolerable. The Metro, sewage crime probes hit record 81. And the Daily Star, they think it's all over your telly. Now, anybody listening on the radio probably wouldn't get much of that, but that's why we are here to fully explain
We
it.
are going to use our descriptive words to bring a light to tomorrow's news.
Well, let's do it. Let's go to the Daily Mail first.
Yeah, watch out. Boris, Starmer's Britain turning into police state. So this is Britain becoming a police state under Labour, according to Boris Johnson. He's warned tonight, last night if you're watching tomorrow. He spoke as a sentencing row erupted after a mother locked up for a tweet after the Southport murders failed in a bid to reduce her lengthy jail term. Of course, this is Lucy Connolly. My personal view on this is a black stain, actually. I'm a free speech advocate. I'm close to a free speech absolutist, actually, and I agree wholeheartedly that her tweet was vile. I don't believe that she should be in prison for 3 years for it. And I think that this is dangerously becoming a nanny/police state. I'm curious that Boris Johnson's the one criticising, because I would argue that it's a bit like Joseph Fritzl giving Fred West childcare advice.
That might be a little bit of an excessive analogy there. I agree with you, Kerry. What do you think that there are...
You agree with me? I just won't bother talking then. I like the new system on this show. You agree with what I'm about to say?
I read your mind and I agree with you that maybe you agree with me that there are two issues here. One is Boris Johnson and the other one is the actual case of Lucy Connolly.
Well, let's put Boris Johnson aside, apart from the fact that he said these words last week, if you're watching next week. So I'm keeping with your theme.
But I think the point with Boris is that these laws were also part of a Tory government as well.
Of course, and that's a little bit hypocritical, but at the same time, I think he's right to say it. I mean, this is because, of course, there was the new Court of Appeal hearing and she's lost that one. I don't know why she didn't blame predictive text. That's what the rest of us would have done, wouldn't it? In this day and age, would have got away with that. And I agree, absolutely. It was a vile text put out in the first place, and she was too naive to do what everyone does these days, use an avatar of a dog and use words like unalived, which apparently gets you away with absolutely anything now.
No, what she was naive doing was, if only she was driving around North London, like
with megaphones,
with a megaphone calling for the rape of Jews, she would have got away with it.
They would have said that's fine, of course.
This is the biggest thing.
Slightly too clear.
This is the biggest thing. If we look right back at the beginning of the case, where she was encouraged to plead guilty because she would get a reduced sentence, that didn't happen for her. That's incredibly unfair. It was entirely political at that time, in the wake of Southport and Labour coming into government under Keir Starmer. And now that she's in, she's almost a political prisoner. And I hasten to say that, Josh, because it's an incredibly strong strong term, but there is no need to keep this woman in prison any longer
That's
whatsoever.
true, except for the fact that we do have laws in this country. Now, I've read far deeper into it now, and the fact is, it seems like she got bad advice, or she's saying she misunderstood the advice of her barrister.
Lawyer, yeah.
Sister. I'll never figure out the difference between the two. But the point was, it's about agreeing to the intent to commit violence. Now, that is what it all hangs on.
Very serious.
There is a minimum sentence for that. The other reason that they went in to say if it could be repealed or lowered is because the initial judge might not have taken into consideration other factors. As it is, it seems like she's going to be getting out in around August with the reduced sentence anyway, but she would be out much, much sooner if they'd taken into account some of the mitigating factors.
Yeah, totally. And also they should have grounded her from social media for a while. That was the level of danger that she actually had. Her thumbs did something wrong. She should have blamed her thumbs, really. But, you know, there's people walking free for actual crimes, like running Thames Water. And then there's this woman who's in prison. There's got people around her saying, hey, I'm here for murder, I'm here for robbery, what are you in for? A really nasty tweet. I agree it was an awful tweet. I agree, but there are circumstances around it. She realised herself that it was a wrong tweet, and she cancelled it out, so she deleted it. So, I think 2.5 years was the original sentence. That's incredible for her.
But this comes
especially in this day and age when you can look on Twitter and, you know, if you're going to do this, Twitter needs its own prison wing. A prison wing,
I guess the issue is to look at here is the laws itself, rather than
so you can always, you know,
this application of it.
If you apply the law, then maybe this is just against the law. The law's a bit of an ass, as far as I'm concerned on this. It's totally unfair, and I say that being
you could go to prison for that.
I could do.
Just don't type it out.
I think I'm too pretty. Please don't. But I think that what was I going to say? You've totally thrown me now.
Why? That image? No, it's the imagery in the bathrooms in your head now. You can't talk.
I think you're safe in prison. Please don't. I don't know. There could be some deliverance.
Maybe viewers can vote.
Yeah. Well, let's go on to the Daily Telegraph then. Lots of news as always.
OK, so Rayner's secret plan to tax savers.
Look at her there in that photo. Let's describe her face to our radio listeners.
How would you describe it?
Sort of menacing mum at the school gate. I think
she's angry with rich people and she's going to show them who's who.
It's like a spy who's been caught, you know. It even sounds like the way they're describing here, like some secret memo drafted in invisible ink during a séance or something. But it's this is. I'll show on the headline. It's Raynering memos. Hallelujah. And thank you. So she wants a more plan of rather than tax the rich, tax the vaguely comfortable, and really punish the working class for being slightly less skint. And this is the way Labour seems to be going, is to close these loopholes. But it looks. The more interesting part of it is there a split between Rayner and Reeves?
Yes,
and I didn't even know that there is.
I didn't even know there were a couple.
No, I didn't know there were. I'd imagine. I mean, I'm no great fan of Rayner, but it is unfair. She's represented like this kind of scornful woman in every single image, and I always there's part of me that's like there must be a nice picture of her somewhere. There must have been.
I'm sure there are nice photos. She's got a very impressive background in terms of. You know,
red. It's a red background, Josh.
Mum and
I see.
She's now deputy leader.
Talking about the picture.
Yeah, I mean, she's a great success story for women. That's what I've always said, Josh.
That might be her favourite photo you're making fun of, by the way.
That could be.
She might love that one.
That might be her Bumble photograph.
Yeah.
But the point is, I know that they could sort of technically Labour go, oh no, we said we only wouldn't tax poor people or working class people, but just like how much squeezing can go on.
Because everybody's poor now. That's the trouble, you see. That everybody, even the rich, are not the mega rich, obviously, and the idea that Labour would be taxing the rich is hardly a secret.
50% of the country 50 families own 50% of the country.
Yeah, I read that today. I've got to say that overall, though, because I haven't got any savings, so I don't really care much.
You like tax them to death.
Well, this is it. There's a lot of stuff here. I can tell it doesn't apply to me. Because it's too complicated for me to understand. It's all sort of pension, and if you've got a numbers, 1,073,000 and what, 3.6 7.5. I don't know any of this stuff. What are you talking about?
If you can live beyond next week.
Now, this is what I do understand, though. Cheap data roaming. This is what hits my wallet.
Yeah, and it hasn't been saved by our new Brexit reset here at all. So I think it's important for us to get some benefit out of this.
We're getting nothing for our fish.
If we're going to give back everything, can we please get good data roaming? Do you know what? Yesterday, when they said, and I know I'm on GB News, and I know
you are.
I know it. I know it. But when they said I wouldn't have to queue so much in the airport, there was a bit of me that slightly celebrated. Have you been to Europe recently?
No, because I
can't afford to. Go back to story one.
Excuse me, but we're not on that story yet.
Yeah. No.
Can we do one at a time? Is that all right?
The idea that I might be able to walk for an airport, but we've reneged on those.
Well, look, when we get to that story, you can talk about the data roaming.
Let's just mention it now. The e-gates. The whole point was that was what a lot of most people aren't fishermen or women, but a lot of people go on holiday in Europe. And now this would be the tangible benefit. Yeah. And now it seems like that's not even going to kick in until after the summer holidays.
No, not till October or sometime. Yeah. And also, I don't get it really. It's in their interest for people to get through those queues faster. So why not? We should squat. That's what we should do. We should all squat until they change their mind on this. It's vindictive, but also with the data roaming. But surely you can still use WhatsApp on Wi-Fi, right?
No, you have to buy the extra data.
Even to use WhatsApp?
Yep.
Well, that's not fair.
There we go. Oh, look at you now, Mr. Brexit.
I'm not going to go abroad until they change this.
What do you think about this, Kerry? Police consider inquiry into Lineker posts. We're talking about free speech. You think the police should get involved with that one?
Actually, no. I think anything you do to martyr him will martyr him, and he is considered martyred by those people who agree with everything he says, and you're not going to change that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it, actually.
Look at that. And
not just funny, informative.
Fact.
But no, not just informative.
No, I researched this. I did a study.
But he also has sort of morals.
This is unreal.
Yeah, maybe.
A casual.
You agree with? You consider them morals?
Integrity. Integrity. Do you have anything?
He's opinionated and I think a bit of an idiot, personally.
Do you have integrity? You have integrity with your position.
I do.
Some people might go, oh, well, Kerry's Jewish, he's going to want him to go to jail or something. You're like, no.
No, I think let him say his thing, personally.
Okay. Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I think I've just said...
I think we should educate people. I think there should be lessons in school about Lineker and how you shouldn't believe anything he says, but apart from that... I don't want to see anything more. Yeah. Lineker lessons, why not?
Why not?
I mean... Prepare the public, prepare children for this.
Moving on to this story, shops told to question trans customers. So this is the ongoing consequences of the Supreme Court decision that shock horror refers to women. And now the EHRC have come out and said that as long as you do it politely...
Yes.
And the thing is about these certificates, is the gender recognition certificates, there's only a couple of thousand of them. Anyway, I think a lot of people think, when they think of trans women, they think of people who look just like women, and you would have sympathy there. But the reality is the majority don't have certificates, are full-bodied males, and essentially are what a lot of people used to call transvestites.
Yeah, so the idea is that now there is so much... We're now having clarification on the clarification, and as mentioned on your Free Speech Nation programme this Sunday just gone, it's needed because the waters are being muddied deliberately so, I believe. And this is to happen in shops, leisure centres, gyms and places like that, hospitals especially, where I think it is incredibly important to have single-sex spaces. And that's what it's about, really. And the politeness and the kindness is the right thing. We should be able... I wouldn't want to do the job. I would feel very uncomfortable, but you should be able to question it. Excuse me?
Politely, no Crocodile Dundee behaviour.
Yeah.
My feelings on this, though, is that Paul should do the job. Because you have Paul hanging around outside changing rooms somewhere.
I've got to find everyone with...
It should be someone who doesn't want to. It should be someone a bit reluctant. But anyway, no, I think, look, the law has changed and it's been clarified, but I wouldn't want to see it become stupid or cruel or anything.
No,
there's no need for this. We saw the same during lockdown. We saw people who, the people police, the amateur detectives who want to just like, you're not wearing a mask, you person down the end of the road. These people are also a problem in society, and I think if we exported them, destroyed them...
Just call them women. You don't have to call them people anymore.
No, I meant the people, the policing people the public.
It should be said that the Supreme Court was
I mean, we should ban busybodies. But I think the court was clear.
Just call them women.
He should. The court was clear, and I think we should be sensible about it, but we don't have to start getting nasty to other people.
Well, no, but more than that, the Supreme Court was very clear about that it also established trans rights, that, of course, trans people have the right to safety and to be treated without any prejudice, and that's a great thing for them to clarify. What's insane, this little thing before we move on to the break here, is that the Houses of Parliament have not yet implemented the laws of the land. They are still waiting for the official guidance. Now, it was very clear that basically single-sex spaces apply to biological sex. And when the House of Parliament haven't even implemented it.
I'll tell you we know it's clear, because big corporations all over the place, they capitulated one way, capitulated back the other way, because their very well-paid lawyers said to them, if you don't, you will get in a lot of trouble. So immediately the clarification was understood.
And you know who's going to pay the bill if this House of House of Parliament? Yeah, we're going to pay the bill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know, when
not just me, I don't think.
No, when Rayner increases all
You're going to pay the bill.
All the rich
Can I just say we missed a little story? Can we mention it quickly?
Yeah, sure.
It's on the bottom corner. It says, my friend ruined my wedding, so I cut her off. It's about a friend who ruined someone's wedding and then, as a result, got cut off for it.
Thank you for that detail. Right.
Okay.
We mentioned Free Speech Nation. It's every Sunday. Come and join our audience. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/tickets every Sunday evening, 7 to 9 p.m. It's a lot of fun, and it would be lovely to see you there. Now, after the break, we have The Guardian, where it will not be funny. It will be me shouting for 3 minutes. So come back and enjoy that, and then we're going to be moving on to Tories facing wipeout.
Wow.
That's not good. Well, I mean, it depends where you fall on the political spectrum. See you in a couple of minutes.
Well.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Nana Queer, weekends from 3 p.m.
Today I'm joined by a nurse and an abuse survivor, Karen Danson. Now, when working at the County Durham and Darlington NHS Foundation Trust, she says that she had to beg her bosses not to let her male-born nurse, identifying as a woman, use their changing rooms, so the female changing rooms. Karen was abused by her father as a child, and this brought back traumas relating to years of abuse. Now, Karen and other Darlington nurses have launched a discrimination claim against their employees. This claim is still progressing, notwithstanding the recent Supreme Court judgment. Can you take us back a little bit to what happened to you as a child, to give us an idea of why you were so nervous about this individual entering a female-only space?
Yep. So I was sexually abused by my dad when I was a child. It started when I was 6 years old, and it was like 3 times a week, every week for 6 years. It left me with PTSD. Like I say, here I am as an adult, as a nurse trying to give back to people, and I walk into work and one day after shift and there's a man in my changing room, you know, and I didn't know how to react. I thought I was in the wrong place. I thought I'd maybe walked into the wrong changing room. He's there half dressed. As I'm walking down to my locker, you know, he's saying to me, "Are you not getting changed yet?" And I was like, "No." And then he asked me again, and I started panicking, thinking, you know, why is he asking me if I want to get changed? Is he wanting to provoke a reaction? Does he actually want me to get changed in front of him? And then when he asked me a third time, "Are you not getting changed yet?" That was it. I needed to leave. I needed to get out of there. It just reminded me so much of the trauma that I'd experienced with my dad.
GB News, the People's Channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners.
Hello.
Oh, yeah, you there?
No, just Paul got in a goodbye at the end of the last one.
You felt
I didn't join in, so I've just thrown out a hello.
Fair enough.
That's OK.
We are going to get straight into it with The Guardian, with perhaps the most important story of the day, Paul. What is a cat cafe?
I don't think that's what you're referring to, but I believe a cat cafe is somewhere where you can go and stroke cats.
OK, well, the trouble with they're closing down.
And there's problems with hygiene, with welfare, but mostly it's consent.
Nanny state again.
No one's worked out how cats give consent.
It's ridiculous. Just let people stroke cats.
Well, I don't know. I came up with an idea for an orphan cafe where you'd have lots of orphans and people could stroke them and so on. And it just never got accepted by the council.
But Victorian London?
I know. I just thought it'd be nice and fun for people.
OK, well, look, there are some other smaller stories here.
What I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to read the headline.
Yeah.
And I'm going to nip out and I'll come back in about 5 minutes. So, Israel's Gaza rhetoric, repellent and monstrous, says Lammy. See you later.
It's all on you, Paul. It's all on you. You do this one. Start us going.
So what we've got going on here is David Lammy, for some reason, the Labour Party here. I was trying to talk to, not trying to talk to Josh. Josh was very accommodating. I was talking to Josh about this before we came on air, because I'm very interested.
He came and said, "Josh, what do you think of the story?" Paul, what do you think? What do you think? I think, Paul, this is insane.
It's definitely getting that way. And David Lammy has stood up in court today, in the House of Parliament today, and said that it's getting to the point where this repellent and monstrous action is no longer going to have the UK's support.
Being in war with terrorists. Yeah. So, Kerry, let's talk a little bit about the photo on the front before we get into it, because we were talking about it a little bit in the break. We've got a man there holding a body. Now, I follow many accounts online on social media, and I've got to be honest, this person here, we don't know who that person is, who is a body. We don't even know if that person's alive or not. I've seen footage of people who are seemingly dead, then they scratch their nose. Also, what's incredible is that they're surrounded by 30 people or something, with all taking photos of this. So they've all got phones, they've all got electricity, they've all got Wi-Fi. I can see that a bunch of them are overweight when supposedly they're starving. Why are they there?
War is horrifying, obviously. I don't mean to in any way bring that down, but at the same time, there's this extraordinary thing, and it is a real thing, that's been going on during all this, known as Gazawood and Pallywood, of people making fake films, which should be... there was one recently of a baby pulled out of rubble who was clearly perfectly well and so on, and apparently been there for days. And there's also an industry that brings in dolls, which they use a great deal. So I don't mean to say nothing in it is real. There's a lot of real horror going on.
Suffering.
But considering there's so much suffering, why is there so much effort to make fake cinema and also take videos that come from other war zones and so on? And as you point out here, why? My reaction in seeing something as horrifying as this is not to bring out my phone and take pictures. There is that to it.
And you would think with these pictures... Now, I put this on social media today. Someone send me a photo of proving that someone has starved. Because this is the accusation. Because someone from the UN said 14,000 babies will starve in the next 24 hours. Now, I have seen photos, unfortunately, of starving children, and they are always either... They are from Syria from 5 years ago.
Yemen, great deal from Yemen. And,
or they are children with tragic genetic conditions.
Yeah.
What we see here, and with a very overweight parent. So there is a narrative that is coming out of Gaza, and it seems like our government, Kerry, has just sucked it up hook, line and sinker.
As I say, there's real horror, as there is in war zones. War zones are horrifying places. At the same time, I don't understand why we don't react. When we find out the picture is actually coming from Syria, people don't go, oh, my God, Syria's awful, what's going on there, and so on. So this keeps happening. You remember the famine thing has been going on now since the very beginning of it. We were told there is a famine. Then the UN brought it back and said there isn't a famine. Then they said once again there could be a famine. Then we were told there is again. This has constantly gone up. A famine would have involved thousands of people starving. And there are unquestionably people... There's going to be food shortages in different areas and so on.
There are also
but it's happening everywhere.
videos on Gaza Wood. If you go to an account called Gaza Wood 1, you will see videos time-stamped today, yesterday, of markets full of food, of restaurants, of ice cream parlours. So there is hardship, but there is also food in Gaza, which
there's unquestionable hardship.
But it proves that food has been going in. The accusations over the last year and a half has been that Israel has not been providing aid. Yet, when they actually genuinely did stop aid for the last 8 weeks, suddenly they managed to continue. They had a surplus of food. So obviously food had been going on during that time. And food is now resumed and is going back in now.
Sure, and there was a meeting in the Knesset in Israel discussing before they stopped the food last time of how much they assessed how much was actually in there in a position of doing it. Look, it is horrible. War is horrible. And I don't understand why people think this war zone is worse than any other.
It's not a war, Kerry. It's a genocide.
Well, yeah,
where the population increased.
It's a war, and the failure and support for Hamas financially and politically is what led into all this. You know, and they've continued trying to support Hamas through it. It's been a terrible, terrible policy. The purpose of a war is for one side to win and the other side to surrender, and that surrender should have happened by now, and the hostages should have gone back. Even when half the population was up against the Rafah crossing at one point, I didn't hear David Lammy once saying release all the vulnerable people through the crossing, which is normal for war. Into Egypt and for other Arab countries to take them in. Foreign policy hasn't failed. It didn't even try.
So, and I just want to say one more thing here. So, unless we haven't got across what's happened here, our government is basically coming out criticising Israel, along with, I think it's Canada and France, have put out this sort of condemning Israel. But you know who's praised us, praised the UK government, praised Lammy? Hamas. Hamas put out a statement and said, well done. So, well done. We're getting praised from Islamist terrorists now.
I know, but also, look,
for our rhetoric.
France was cozying up with Jelani and with Hezbollah just in recent times. So, you know, it's not surprising this to be their take.
This is the quietest I've ever been. and it's unbelievable. But I wanted you guys to have the conversation for obvious reasons. You're both proud Jews. Look, where does the information... What I want to understand about this and this type of journalism, and Josh, you'll probably be able to answer this... Where does it come from? I mean, OK, the newspapers, there's no one in there to give the information out. You can't get in amongst it. Who's giving the information?
Well, it's coming from Hamas, but it's the willingness of the institutions to explain. Now, someone said to me online, oh, well, this just is insane. You sound insane. And I actually think that I probably do sound a little bit insane. And I was also thinking about this sort of need to kind of fight this narrative and how being Jewish affects that. And it isn't that I feel like I've got to defend Israel because it's the homeland of the Jews and all of that and the religious connections and whatever. It's because I'm Jewish, I happen to know a little bit more about the history of the region, and I've been able to see where our media has essentially lied, where our government lies. And that's, whether I was Jewish or not, knowing the information I know, knowing it is a complicated situation, but knowing the actual information, what's going on, and seeing the gaslighting that's come from the UN, that's come from our government, that's come from the BBC, I'm compelled to speak out, not as a Jew, but just to fight for actual facts. Just like the facts of, like, a woman not having a penis. It's exactly the same.
It's not exactly the same. Similar, though. I can see the similarities. I'm going to say, Paul, I'm not a proud Jew. I'm actually a secret... I'm supposed to be an undercover Jew. I was planning to be on this programme pretending I wasn't, and you've outed me once again and ruined my angle on this. But, yeah, I mean, look, I read a lot about... I've been following war analysts and people who are specialists in battles and so on, and all kinds of battles, and know the international laws, and reading about all the other wars going on at the moment, and people are not seeing this in context of what's going on. There's some kind of reporting that's happening over this war, which I've never seen with any war. I have never seen a war with weekly numbers going up, which keep turning out to be hyperbolised so much.
Absolutely. 89 articles from the BBC about starvation in Gaza, yet not evidence of one person. That's been going on now for a year and a half, over a year and a half. OK, well, you know what? We massively overran on that story.
that was a jolly few minutes.
That was really good to get that out. Let's look at the Express.
I mean, I'll do it just because I didn't speak for 23 minutes. A pensioners hit...
Sorry about that.
No, not at all. Pensioners hit by triple whammy savings blow. So 1 million pensioners face unprecedented tax demands after being caught in a trap of frozen thresholds. Bombshell figures reveal, Josh. So pensioners under attack again. I mean, I don't know if this is accidental from Labour, but it can't be on purpose. I'd love to think it's not on purpose. But one of the biggest victims of this Labour government so far has been old people. They've just not been protected at all. That their savings are being eroded away because they had the audacity to put some money away. The winter fuel allowance, which we're expecting a U-turn on at any point, was taken away from them. And I just don't see how this is ever going to work out well for Labour.
And can I just say it's connected, that they stopped the winter fuel allowance on pensioners, and as a result, their tax thresholds have become frozen. That's how cold they've got, right? Thank you very much. Well, so they've been drawn into this 40% tax bracket, and it's the pensioners hit by triple whammy, which sounds like something you'd order at a Harvester rather than a fiscal trap for pensioners, which is, it turns out, is what it is. Basically, I think the Labour policy now is that if you're breathing and not spending, we're coming for you.
OK, well, we are going to have a little break now. When we come back, I promise there will be no mention of Israel or Jews or trans stuff. We have lots and lots of really fascinating stories. Tories face wipeout as they drop to 4th place in a major poll. The WHO agrees what they're going to do if another pandemic happens. So anybody who's into COVID, you want to come back for that story. Oh, yes. And we also have the front page of the Times. Well, you know...
Any COVID fans? Do you love COVID? You've come to the right place.
See you guys in a couple of minutes.
Toodle pip.
COVID love.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. As we head into tomorrow, it is going to be a damp start across the south, but for the north it should be mostly dry, plenty of sunshine and feeling warm in the sunshine too. And the reason it's been so settled as of late, well, it's all to do with high pressure situated to the north of the country, so at times this evening that will drag in a northeasterly breeze, so that's going to bring in some low cloud, particularly across the northeast of Scotland. Then it's all eyes towards the south, some quite low cloud pushing in at times, also some outbreaks of showery rain as we head towards dawn across southern parts of England and Wales, perhaps turning a little heavy here at times too. Temperatures not quite dipping away as much under cloudier skies, but across the north it may just be a little bit of a chillier start. So yes, a damp start for many southern areas as we head into tomorrow. The odd heavier outbreak of rain and quite cloudy and murky across parts of the southeast too. But Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, it should be mostly dry and bright. That's away from the east though. Still some lingering low cloud here for the best part of the morning, particularly across the northeast of Scotland, where it may linger for a while before eventually breaking up as we head into the afternoon. And across northern areas, it should stay largely dry and bright. Plenty of sunshine here. But across this south, cloud and outbreaks of rain eventually easing through the morning as it sinks its way southwards, but still a chance of some showers bubbling up into the afternoon. Once again, the odd one could be heavy at times, but where we see the brighter spells, where we see the sunshine, it is still warm, highs reaching around 22 degrees Celsius. Now, a slightly better day on offer as we head into Thursday. Mostly dry, but we still can't rule out a few showers, once again hitting eastern coastlines, and still some quite cloudy skies at times across central areas as this area of cloud sinks its way southwards. But largely dry and bright on Thursday, and it should be dry to end the week. That's before outbreaks of rain moving in from the west on Saturday, and we'll start to see a slight dip in those temperatures too.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons. Very, very curious. We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No, Kerry, we are not going to talk about Israel anymore. OK, let's go to the front page of the Times. We had a couple of stories we've already seen, but they've got something about Trump here.
They do. Trump pushes Britain to spend tens of billions on defence. So Trump is encouraging our Ministry of Defence to spend tens more billions more to raise our spend to 3% of GDP. I think we're currently at 2. We're looking to go to 2.5.
So 3% of, like, that's another £1 million, isn't it?
That's loads of dosh. it's like loads of dosh in that. I think it's loads of dosh, isn't it?
It's loads of dosh is exactly what it is.
Oh,
and I kind of agree with us spending more, but does he know he's in charge of a different country?
No.
Does he know that? He doesn't know, does he?
He's the leader of the free world.
No one's told him.
He's the leader of the free world. Well, that's actually... It's not the free world in the UK, so actually he's not the leader.
He's not in charge of us.
Right.
Anyway, that's that.
What's the iPaper got, Kerry? I mean, they've also got Israel. Don't mention Israel!
They've got that, and they've got other stories we've covered, and it also says you can't argue with Brexiters. They've lost the capacity for reason. This is by Ian Dunt. I would argue that it's Brexiteers. Isn't that what you normally say about Brexiters?
Because you've lost the will for reason.
Exactly. Well, you wouldn't want to argue with me.
I mean, but unfortunately, it's that kind of rhetoric that has got us where we are. That people just having this kind of snobbery when it comes to Brexit. And I voted Remain.
Me too.
It's like, you know what? I've actually listened to some arguments over the last couple of years, and I go, oh, it wasn't for the reasons I thought they would. And there are valid reasons.
Also, you don't have to argue with them. You can discuss.
Yes. I was also incredibly tired of it yesterday when it all happened. I thought, I can't be bothered with this argument again.
Yeah. All right, well, look, you know what? Let's go, Paul, to The Independent with reports on a bad day for Kemi Badenoch.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? Tories face wipeout as they drop to 4th place in major poll. In a survey that will raise fresh questions for Kemi Badenoch's leadership, the Tories were in 4th on 16%, with Ed Davies, Lib Dems up to 3rd on 17%. I mean...
That's got to hurt.
It will hurt. The Tories are redundant now. The popular centre-right ground is Reform's future to lose, or whoever fills that space. Well, there's a huge void there now after the 14 years of Tories, and at the moment it's Nigel Farage and his boys. And one lady.
Do you think that Badenoch is going to make it to the election?
No.
Well, that's the thing, is replacing the leader is something which but that's what you would normally do in a situation like this. We're not doing well, replace the leader, but the trouble is they've done that so many times now. They did that whilst they were winning, you know, whilst they had the power, and so now that's not a good strategy. That's more like a superstition at this point. But also, both parties are scrambling around trying to figure all this out, like pigeons who've discovered a mirror. And the Lib Dems have climbed to 3rd place, which is it's a bit like the Titanic resurfacing and overtaking a speedboat. So the whole thing is just getting incredible.
They don't even know what a woman is.
They don't know what a woman is. No one knows what to do. The Tories are going, what do we need to do? Do we need to deport someone live on TV? Well, how can we catch up with this? So no one knows what's going on at the moment.
They should have done their job when they were in government, and they didn't, and that's the problem.
Yes.
And it's poor old Kemi Badenoch, who I'm a fan of. I like her, but to be honest, I did think she'd be kicking arse.
More dynamic.
I thought she'd be a little bit more.
I think you can say that. You just have. But... you know, there's 4 years maybe to 2029. I've done the maths.
She's a very considered person. She likes to do her research. She likes to do the reading. I respect that. Don't jump into any sort of...
She might come out all guns blazing at any moment.
Being played. Will she have a long game?
Although, I've got to say this. A Reform spokesman said, we don't usually comment on a minor party.
That was pretty cool. That was a good move, wasn't it?
I just want to say that.
Yeah, that was a good thing.
Kicking them when they're down. That's not very British. I don't know.
No, but it is very Reform.
Right, Guardian, Kerry, and is this pragmatic planning or a conspiracy theory made flesh?
Yeah, world agrees pandemic accord for tackling outbreaks of disease. Hailed as a victory for public health, the agreement aims to build on the lessons of COVID-19 and protect the globe from pathogenic threats.
Lock us down.
This was the meeting of the WHO Pandemic Agreement, which is, in short, WAPA.
OK.
WAPA.
With cheese?
Which sounds good. Basically, they've agreed that there should be an agreement.
Yeah,
that's what's happened
no
today.
No information in here at all.
Nothing is going on. The details are like who should get a vaccine has been postponed right now, and it's a diplomatic version of saying I'll pick you up from the airport and then turning my phone off.
There's only 2 things you need to know about this story.
Yes.
It's celebrated by The Guardian. It's been designed by the WHO. So
WHO.
WHO, yeah, not
But it was also applauded.
Roger Daltrey.
It was also applauded by the delegates, who, it says here, you know, no one had actually read it, but they just thought that's good enough for us, and we can all go on our lunch break. So that's why they applauded.
I don't know what would be the sort of the future planning. It would be number one, blame China.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh, they fund us. Oh,
You
no,
can't
we're not.
blame
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is more dear future disease. We'll try harder, but you know, nothing's actually. The one thing you should do, if you did actually sanction China, then you could say to other countries, it's best not to let diseases go out that might affect the entire world.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Paul Telegraph, and if only the Fast Show was still being made, this would make a great Suits You sketch.
Jill Biden.
Oh, actually, no, not at all. We floated that one. Let's go. That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense because I'm like whatsoever.
I think we better do it now.
That was a great link.
We better do it now.
For the trans
We've got
stuff.
to do it.
But we said we weren't going to talk about any more trans stuff.
So I thought that's why we were going to Jill
within
Biden.
the
Should I
dressing
cover Jill
rooms.
Biden?
No, let's go to Jill Biden very quickly.
why
Do you
not?
think that she should go to jail?
I don't think she should go to jail, actually. I think she probably does love her husband.
What's the story?
Let me tell you the story first. Jill Biden could face elder abuse charges after charges following ex-president's cancer diagnosis. So the accusation here is that she ignored or deliberately ignored or hid his prognosis with cancer, and I would suggest cognitive decline as well. And as a result, could be this commentator here is suggesting that she could be done for elder abuse. If she
It's
is
more
to
than
be
a
done,
commentator. This is someone from the Justice Department.
yeah, I just think it's political, and you know, I might even support that political side. I think actually this is a much bigger ownership here. There are many people that chose to gaslight us on Joe Biden's state of health, and he was the leader of the free world, and he was left to do that in his dotage when he should have been just being cared for.
Kerry, the thing is that this first of all, by the way, I'm sorry for him and his family,
Yeah, that's a good
and his
point.
loved ones, of course.
Can I just say I agree with that?
Okay, that he has cancer. That is terrible.
Yes.
He's 82 years old.
Yeah.
He was the leader of the free world. He would have been getting tested up the wazoo.
Literally.
So the fact that he has now suddenly got this aggressive form of cancer and it's come out of nowhere, supposedly, I don't know if I actually believe that, frankly. A year ago, he would have been tested. That's when when he was in the White House and his doctor said, no, everything's good. At that point, they didn't spot anything coming.
Well, OK, I, not being a doctor, but being a person of strong opinions...
Yes.
would say that I don't think she should be, Jill Biden should be in trouble for this. I think it's really the whole Democratic Party who basically propped up Biden like he was some Victorian child's corpse and a family photo. And I think they must know more that was going on. People are saying here it was elder abuse, and that's quite amusing, though, because elder abuse is normally physical and emotional damage rather than pretending someone's a president who is.
OK, fair enough. All right, well, we are going to be going for our final break. We have some great stories when you come back. We've got the front page of The Sun barking mad. We're going to give bed and board to an asylum-seeking dog. Good dog! And we also have The Star. We also have some funny stories about whether or not you should shower. See you in a couple of minutes.
You should.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heavy showers for central and northern Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Generally sunny over the Greek islands. Plenty of sunshine for Iberia at the moment, but we are looking at more wet weather, especially for northern Spain and the Balearics come the end of the week. There are those showers over Italy, some pretty heavy downpours over parts of the Balkans. We'll continue with the risk of showers here through the week. Sunny skies for most of the Greek islands, certainly for Cyprus and much of Turkey as well. Santorini stays sunny for the rest of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers, so you don't have to read them, which is great.
It's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, because the failure is
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. We've got a final few front pages. We're going to go to The Sun.
Can't tell you how angry I am, Josh. I am fuming. Barking mad. Now we give our bed and board to asylum-seeking dogs. Not just any dog. I mean, disguise it as much as you like, but that's a German Shepherd, Josh.
Oh, it's a German. We're letting in Germans.
We won the war, OK? There is no way we should be letting in German Shepherds. I don't know what's going on here, so I'm going to read. Taxpayers are to fork out thousands of pounds to put a dog that crossed the channel in a packed dinghy.
Can I just say he heard that Britain's going to the dogs and he took it literally, jumped straight on a boat and he thought it was an invitation.
Mary, you were saying during the interval that you think the dog should be put down.
Oh. Yeah, that's what I said during the interval, but those are my exact words, because that'll make me popular with the British public. That's the thing, this is the asylum seeker that most of the public will take in.
Oh, to be fair,
to their houses.
Take in this dog.
Yeah.
And,
we'll have him.
Unlike the ones down on Billionaires Road down Park Lane, hopefully there won't be defecation. On this, you missed yesterday.
No, I didn't see that.
What's Josh on about?
On the park. Anyway, let's go to the Daily Star then.
Daily Star, they think it's all over your telly. Lorraine, Loose Women, and This Morning cuts to fund World Cup. So basically, they're getting rid of all the women on TV and replacing them with men.
Biological men.
Am I correct about this? I think so.
Along those lines.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
It's Gary Lineker involved. Don't mention Gary Lineker! Right, let's go on to some final stories. Inside the newspapers, we've got The Pool, we have The Mirror, and is this some kind of alternate reality?
Yeah, what's going on here? A man who filmed himself setting fire to the Bible on social media found shot dead. Well, that is a turn-up for the books, isn't it?
Was it Islamist?
It's unclear. It was in Brazil, that's clear. Police have launched an investigation after Antonio Rocha de Souza was fatally shot just 10 days after he shared the video.
Christian extremist.
A Christian
Yeah, I'd say it's unlikely to be Islamist with the Bible.
I mean,
OK, although it's a holy text as well.
Yeah, and I think
yes, of course it is, but it's still it's not likely. Yeah, you think the thing is in Brazil you can get shot for sitting on someone's motorbike or Uber Eats arrives too slowly.
10 days is a long
it's
time.
not that big a thing. And but typical once again, this is you can say he set the Bible on fire and then dies, but I think there's some human intervention going on here.
Or it could be some higher intervention. Anyway, we've got a final story.
God delegates.
Kerry, the Mail has some advice for our nighttime and our 5 a.m. repeat viewers.
I'm so happy for our viewers that they're going to get an answer to this. Should you shower in the morning or at night? Scientists finally settle the debate.
Tell me.
You do agree with their... So they're going to settle this debate. We're going to find out once and for all on this programme whether it's morning or night.
What is the
answer? It says, further down here, it says, blah, blah, blah about the science, and it says, so what does the science say? And here it's going to tell us. According to Primrose Friesen, a senior lecturer in clinical microbiology...
What is the answer,
I'm coming to this. It says it's bad... He says it's bad news for fans of evening showers, which might be a clue, right? But he doesn't say anything... Now, he's an advocate of daytime showers, so he's biased, but we don't know for sure whether... But he said it could be insufficient. So he says that maybe the morning is good, but the afternoon has advantages.
Front pages. The Mail, Boris. Starmer's Britain is turning into police state. Telegraph, Rayner's secret plan to tax savers. Sun, barking mad. The Independent, utterly intolerable. And the Metro, sewage crime probes hit record 81. And the Daily Star, they think it's all over, yeah, telly. So, don't forget, you can stay with us all day, not just on TV, but on radio and on your smart speaker. To listen to us on your smart speaker, just say, play GB News on the tune-in. That's all we have time for. Thank you to my guests, Paul and Kerry. We're back tomorrow with Archie Manners, Lewis Schaefer.
I say morning.
5 and repeat, stay tuned for breakfast.
Morning.
Goodbye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. As we head into tomorrow, it is going to be a damp start across the south, but for the north, it should be mostly dry. Plenty of sunshine and feeling warm in the sunshine too. And the reason it's been so settled as of late, well, it's all to do with high pressure situated to the north of the country. So at times this evening, that will drag in a northeasterly breeze. So that's going to bring in some low cloud, particularly across the northeast of Scotland. Then it's all eyes towards the south, some quite low cloud pushing in at times. Also some outbreaks of showery rain as we head towards dawn across southern parts of England and Wales. Perhaps turning a little heavy here at times too. Temperatures not quite dipping away as much under cloudier skies, but across the north it may just be a little bit of a chillier start. So yes, a damp start for many southern areas as we head into tomorrow. The odd heavier outbreak of rain and quite cloudy and murky across parts of the southeast too. But Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, it should be mostly dry and bright. That's away from the east though. Still some lingering low cloud here for the best part of the morning, particularly across the northeast of Scotland, where it may linger for a while before eventually breaking up as we head into the afternoon. And across northern areas, it should stay largely dry and bright. Plenty of sunshine here, but across this south, cloud and outbreaks of rain eventually easing through the morning as it sinks its way southwards, but still a chance of some showers bubbling up into the afternoon. Once again, the odd one could be heavy at times, but where we see the brighter spells, where we see the sunshine, it is still warm, highs reaching around 22 degrees Celsius. Now, a slightly better day on offer as we head into Thursday. Mostly dry, but we still can't rule out a few showers, once again hitting eastern coastlines, and still some quite cloudy skies at times across central areas as this area of cloud sinks its way southwards. But largely dry and bright on Thursday, and it should be dry to end the week. That's before outbreaks of rain moving in from the west on Saturday, and we'll start to see a slight dip in those temperatures too.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
What does it feel like to be a Great British Giveaway winner?
That's a big surprise.
Oh,
Nice.
oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're over the moon.
Yes, that is fantastic.
You know, you have no idea how much I needed it. Oh my goodness. That's wonderful. Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I was gobsmacked. Thank you, GB News.
I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it.
Thank you.
So you weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You really could be our next big winner. Head over to gbnews.com/win now to find out how and get your entry for the Great British Giveaway. Great prizes, even greater wins.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
A very, very good evening to you and welcome to GBN Tonight with me, your host, Martin Daubney. On tonight's show, an astonishing new poll has Reform storming ahead of Labour with the Tories in fourth place for only the fifth time in the party's entire history. Now, this comes as the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, reportedly told the Cabinet that he views Reform now as the real opposition to Labour, and I'll be joined in the studio by Reform's Deputy Leader, Richard Tice. Plus, two-tier justice strikes once again as mother Lucy Connolly is denied freedom for her online comments. She will now spend her 31-month sentence behind bars away from her young child. Is this really justice, or is it two-tier justice? And fresh fears over the Chagos Islands as Mauritius moves closer to Russia. Is Labour handing over a vital strategic British asset to Vladimir Putin's pals? Also paid for, of course, by you, the great British taxpayer. Well, the show got a cracking show ahead for you tonight. The Conservatives at their lowest polling in the fifth time in their entire history. The only time they were this low in recent history was when Theresa May was forced to resign, when the Brexit Party drove her into obsolescence in June 2019. We are here again. Is it time for history to repeat itself? Should Kemi Badenoch step down? I'll be joined by Richard Tice in the studio, the Deputy Leader of Reform UK, to put that question to him. Get in touch usual ways. Is it time for Kemi to stand down? Usual ways, gbnews.com/your say. But now it's your headlines with Katie Bowen.
Martin, thank you and good evening. It's 2 minutes past 7. Your latest headlines from the GB newsroom. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer says his new deal with the European Union shows Britain is back on the world stage, claiming it brings an unprecedented level of access to EU markets and boosts UK security. He also pointed to recent trade deals with India and the US as proof that the UK is turning a corner. But backlash is growing over a 12-year extension for EU fishing in UK waters. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch called it a total capitulation and a stitch-up to chase headlines, accusing the Prime Minister of selling out our sovereignty. Speaking on a visit to Lidl supermarket this afternoon, Sir Keir Starmer said there had been a positive reaction to his deal.
Elsewhere today, the wife of a Conservative councillor has lost her bid to cut her jail sentence for an online post about migrants posted on the day of the Southport attacks. Lucy Connolly was jailed for 31 months after calling for asylum hotels to be set on fire in a post viewed over 300,000 times before being deleted. She claimed in court she was grieving and never meant to incite violence, but judges rejected her appeal. They said her version of events didn't justify reducing the sentence. Connolly had pleaded guilty to inciting racial hatred after more racist messages were found on her phone. Tommy Robinson is due to be released from prison within a week after his 18-month sentence for contempt of court was cut by 4 months. He was jailed last year for breaching an injunction that barred him from repeating false claims about a Syrian refugee who had successfully sued him for libel. At a High Court hearing this morning, lawyers argued Robinson had shown a commitment to comply with the order. While the judge said there was no contrition or remorse, he accepted Robinson had shown a change in attitude. Robinson, whose real name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon, attended the hearing via video link from HMP Woodhill. Israeli ambassador to the UK, Zippy Hotvely, has been summoned to the Foreign Office, where Middle East Minister Hamish Faulkner said he would tell her that, quote, the 11-week block on aid to Gaza has been cruel and indefensible. Foreign Secretary David Lammy has also announced that the UK will suspend free trade agreement negotiations with Israel and impose sanctions on settlers. The UK, France and Canada have urged Israel to halt its renewed offensive and get more aid in. The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs said today that external pressure will not divert Israel from its path in defending its existence and security against enemies who seek its destruction. Gary Lineker could face a police investigation over the Instagram post that prompted his BBC exit, Telegraph Sport are reporting tonight. The 64-year-old faced heavy criticism last week after sharing the post about Zionism that included an illustration of a rat, historically used as an anti-Semitic insult. In a statement, the Metropolitan Police said that they had received a number of reports from members of the public relating to a post published on social media on the 12th of May. The reports will be assessed to determine what further action is required, and there is currently no police investigation into the matter. And His Majesty the King's upcoming visit to Canada will reinforce the country's sovereignty against threats from US President Donald Trump, the Canadian High Commissioner said today. Ralph Goodale reiterated his country's independence as the King and Queen visited Canada House in London ahead of their trip to Ottawa later this month. Buckingham Palace said that the King and Queen are very much looking forward to the programme, mindful that it is a short visit, but hopefully an impactful one. King Charles will open a session of the Canadian Parliament, the first time a monarch has done so since 1977. Also today, the Prince and Princess of Wales, as well as the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, attended a garden party at Buckingham Palace. It's the first garden party that the Princess of Wales has attended since her cancer diagnosis. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now let's go back to Martin.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Thank you, Katie, and welcome back to GBN Tonight with me, your host, Martin Daubney. Now, a new poll, a bombshell poll out today from YouGov, has Reform UK well ahead in the polls on 29% of the vote, as you can see on your screens there, with Labour on 22%, Lib Dems 17%, the Conservatives on 16%. That's half of what the Reform Party are on. Now, this comes as reports suggest the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, briefed his MPs last night that the Conservative Party are no longer Labour's principal opponent and that Reform UK instead are the government's main rivals for power. Well, joining us now to discuss this bombshell poll is the Deputy Leader of Reform, Richard Tice, and I'm also joining me in this debate is the political commentator, Andy Twelves. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Mr Tice, I shall start with you. What's notable about this poll, as well as the Conservatives slipping into fourth position for only the fifth time in their entire history, is that votes are leaking in every direction from the big two parties. The Labour Party losing out to the Greens, the Liberal Democrats being the beneficiaries, but the momentum is there, and it's great news for you, and frankly, it's terrible news for the Conservatives.
Well, competition's a great thing, and because we've got good policies, common sense, experience, leadership, that's why I think we're doing very well. And yes, I think this is the biggest margin that we've had in front, 7 points ahead of Labour. That's well ahead of the margin of error. And yes, I think Labour are losing votes to the Lib Dems and Greens. I think the Tories are losing votes to us and to the Lib Dems. And of course, Labour also losing votes to us. I mean, we've just seen the great Brexit surrender. And, you know, it's an appalling deal. We've said very clearly we'll rip it up in the same way that we'll rip up the appalling Chagos deal. I think people quite like a clear sense of direction and travel, and as well as, frankly, working the hardest of anybody.
It's worth getting the electoral map on the screen if we could. Just look at how the country would change. You can use the cliche now, turquoise tidal wave, but let's get that on our screens. The seat maps puts the Reform Party on 309 seats. That's plus 304. Labour down to 138, hemorrhaging 200.